Well, welcome to the show, everybody. This is True Powers Mine, and this is TPIm SR Live. I have Judge Joe Brown on the line right now, folks. What a day, what a day. Judge, real quick, going straight into this corona nonsense. Today I saw, or someone sent me a link to this article about the state of Tennessee. And on the cover page, it was a picture of Sacrifice the Weak. Sacrifice the Weak. As a scientific man, are we taking this pandemic seriously or not?
Well, some places are taking it very seriously. We are not. We see all the pictures all the time, routinely in the crowd scene with the Chinese or Japanese. A bunch of them have masks on. Those masks aren't to protect themselves, they're to protect others from being infected because they may have a cold or something. You never think of that. People come to work, snot running out of their nose, sneezing and coughing. Not a bit of concern for everybody else. They're just worried about how they feel. Okay, now, coronavirus, and let me break this down. There are things called coronavirus. COVID-19 is caused by a coronavirus. All coronaviruses are not COVID-19. The technical definition of the thing is SARS-CoV-2. The one that hit 17, 18 years ago was SARS-CoV-1. It's the same virus, it is mutated. It behaves much like a cold. Like a cold, it may prove to be one of those coronaviruses that are very typically difficult to do anything about. What is it? There is no cure for the common cold. You just have to tough it out, take stuff that makes you feel better and relieve some of the symptoms.
Correct.
Same thing with coronavirus. Now, there is some fable out there that's kind of dissipated. It was at the beginning of the month anyway. Black folk can't catch it because you got melon. That bull doesn't have anything to do with it. They've got an epidemic going of the same problem we have here over in Nairobi, Kenya. Oh, it only affects old folk. Let's get rid of the old folk. Well, this nuclear aircraft carrier, the Franklin, has more than 700 some confirmed cases on it. And most of those are 25 and under, 25 to 18. So there's that, but it doesn't affect young folks. And it's overcounted. There's a conspiracy. So-and-so said they deliberately making up false tales about, well, what is the truth of the matter? That doesn't even make sense. In fact, in terms of what you already know, one, there weren't enough test kits to go around, or were there. And then people were getting told to stay home if they didn't have a severe case of the disease. So the counts reflecting people who did not come into a hospital, but, well, it's reflecting those who came to a hospital, and the ones who weren't as sick were told to go home. It doesn't count those who died at home.
Mm.
So the count's not exaggerated. It's actually understated.
Correct.
Next thing, so it doesn't make sense, any of this stuff going out there. And a great deal of what's being said is almost verbatim quotes from a guy named Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a racist Klansman that the new Nazis love, and every time there's a rally, he's there surrounded by waving Confederate flags and Nazi flags. And black people who are saying you must be bought off by white supremacists because you talk about science. Well, what you're talking about, homeboy, sounds just like this racist Alex Jones. So, I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm glad you brought that. I'm so glad you brought that up. You know, because he's always talking about Alex Jones. He's always talking about New World Order. No, what he's talking about infringement on white privilege. When you really do analysis of what he's really talking about, and that's perfect. And he draws in people. Oh, it's the aliens. No, it's the deep state, and all these people on all these different agendas underneath that one banner. But he's not going to do shit to change your economic standing unless you buy his little products, which probably don't work. So, the thing is, go ahead.
And what, the other part too is why it's a conspiracy now, because at the beginning of the month, they couldn't infect black folk because we were immune due to melanin, they said. Right. And the same folk are now saying it's a conspiracy to get black folk are disproportionately dying of it. Okay, fine. I told you when you called me earlier, I had to go run to the bank. So to go to the bank, I don't live in a predominantly black area. So going to the bank, you had to have an appointment to see a banker.
Right.
And then you have security precautions in there. Everybody in there has got on a mask, right?
Right.
Most every white person's got on gloves and all this other stuff, mask and walking in, work in there like that. Homeboy get out, no mask, no gloves. With all, man, what do you mean? Well, I can't go off in there unless I got on a mask. So what they got to do with it, man? Ain't nothing but no conspiracy, man. Oh, come on. Okay. So I just drove around. I told you when you talked to me a couple of hours ago, I said, you know what I found? I'm driving through black areas. I haven't seen a mask in evidence, right?
Right.
And I drive through the mostly white areas, and everybody's got on a mask, wearing gloves or something, trying to respect that distance. And then you work in restaurants, and like I went in one place, get to where they'd walled it off just so you could go up and hands free. And they took a spatula to hand it up, put it over so nobody had to touch it, right?
Right.
Black folk working in food places don't even have on gloves or masks.
That's what I'm saying, Jess. And they are critical workers. And they're, like you just said earlier, they're coming up in there sneezing and coughing. Guess what? You got to pay rent. Listen, folks, if you live in the state of Virginia or the state of Arkansas, you don't get to lay up in nobody's house paying rent month or 3 months. If you don't come up with rent that first day of that month, your ass is gone 7 days after that. Now, other states is different. Oh, yeah. Other states, you can do the whole welching off the landlord bit. This is what is so critical.
Now, another thing, too, politics. They had one screaming headlines that's just hitting like if you got an iPhone, you can set it up so you get the news flags. House approves $500 billion bailout. Didn't say not bailout, $500 billion
paycheck.
Yeah, well, for the country, small businesses, more, okay. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, $500 billion.
Yeah, but it's not. That's not what the defense budget is.
Yeah, it's not by far.
2007 and 6, the Republicans under Bush drafted and pushed through Congress a $700 billion bailout. It mostly impacted 10,000 people. Goldman Sachs, Smith, Barney et al. And then the Obama administration with the legislation drafted by Geithner,
wow,
the Treasury Secretary, one of Obama boys, Ace Boone Coons from Chicago. It was $781 billion, mostly to Goldman Sachs and Smith, Barney et al. It's called the incentive program, economic incentive program. So that's more than three quarters of $1 trillion, not half, so 10,000 people get benefit of 3/4 of $1 trillion, 781 billion. But all the rest of us actually, the total is 480 billion. So it's interesting that during the former, the economic crisis, that the federal government didn't declare involuntary bankruptcy against Goldman Sachs et al., put it in a federal court, have some receivers who are GS-18s handling the stuff until they got bailed out, and then dismantling the whole goddamn thing. No, it was too big to fail. And they've got a thing where, what was the problem? Well, Geithner et al., when he was there #1 consultant, he lobbied for and got through an act of Congress that said Goldman Sachs et al. Are exempt from the federal banking regulations. They don't have to have a minimum amount of cash in their vaults to back up their accounts. So in other words, they could write a check they couldn't cash.
Correct. That's a fractional reserve
which
system.
Nobody else can. So the thing of it is why did they get that? And why didn't you appoint some receivers through a federal court who would take care of it? No, they too many connections. Old Bamatang's a trust fund would have been in trouble because they used Goldman Sachs to finance the stuff, which makes him the richest person ever being in the White House. His reported income for 2018 net was $580 million net after taxes.
Wow.
And nobody reports that because you got to be a goddamn fool unless you're making a huge amount of money. And Business Insider, who reported it, said he's making more than $1 billion a year.
But he's
off
just a
of
little
his trust fund.
He's just a humble little civil servant, Judge. He's just a humble little Chicago
Goddamn
boy.
lie. Damn lie. So anyway, he pimped us. All of the black folk. We got Obama. Well, the question to ask is this. Let's suppose we got a time machine and you're behind, well, somebody's behind died 2008, hopefully went to heaven, and then all the souls gathered around said, we just heard you got here. Yeah. Is it true you're from the United States? Yeah. And is it true we finally got somebody black elected president? Yeah. Well, now that you did and you know everything, which one of us is his ancestor? None of you.
It's sort of like they did the I hate to say it, the Ashkenazi move. They interject a person that's not really of that culture, but they represent it to such a degree that, oh yeah, he speaks for all black folks. Don't forget his daddy was Kenyan. His daddy didn't get whipped down there in the slave quarters. His daddy,
you know what they did. You want to know the true story about that? Yeah. There was Jomo Kenyatta who had the Mau Mau, right?
Right.
The Mau Mau were leaning toward taking Kenya to the communist side. The CIA wanted to offset that, so they were bringing in promising Kenyan scholars or students and giving them a free ride. So what happens is Obama's grandmother is a CIA entity, and in fact, she distributed the CIA funds in the Southwest Pacific.
Wow.
Well, you know how spies do all cause and country, right?
Right.
Well, they wanted to make this African happy, so they decided to give him some white pussy. So Obama's grandmama volunteered his mother as the white pussy, and the homeboy knocked it out with some African dick from the bush. She got knocked up. It's a question of whether they were ever married, but within 2 years of her having Barack, she winds up being introduced by her mama to Lolo Sotoro, who is the CIA's main contract man in the Southwest Pacific. He's an Indonesian oil tycoon who had close ties with the oil business to George Herbert Walker Bush. And then when that same individual became head of the CIA under the Jerry Ford administration, it was a natural hookup. So I guess Bush said, hey, man, you want some nice little tender white booty from Kansas so I can fix you up. Yeah. This woman that, you know, the woman that you get all your money from,
right? You
got a dog. You just got to take this African in. But by the way, we can do something about it. You know, help us out and help groom this boy to wind up being U.S. president. Nobody will see it coming.
Wow. And no one did, Judge. Nobody saw it coming. His daddy's black, but his real daddy's Asian with a gay manservant that raised him. No wonder he was chilling with Larry Sinclair up in the little limousine.
Well, yeah, and then too, you got to understand Halliburton. Who was CEO of Halliburton? Dick Cheney, vice president on George W. Bush, right?
Correct.
Well, Halliburton was incorporated in 1946 by George Herbert Walker. That was George Herbert Walker Bush's Uncle Herbie and great Uncle Herbie to George Walker Bush. You get the connection?
Yes.
Oil and see, Lolo Sotoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil. Standard Oil was trying to get its filthy fingers on some Indonesian oil, but they couldn't under American law, so they decided to set their vice president up, Lolo Sotoro. Lolo Sotoro, amongst other things, was also in charge of the death squads for the Indonesian army. He ran their Gestapo. He had plenty of muscle, and his business was Murder Incorporated and Big Oil.
Correct.
Okay, so they set him up to take over the Indonesian oil industry, and he becomes one of the 10, 15 richest men on the planet Earth. Indonesia may sit on top of the world's largest oil reserve. When Lolo died, he had left everything to a trust fund with 3 equal beneficiaries. Barack Obama, Barry Sotoro, and he went to college as, went to high school as, went to, well, let me put it this way. So boarding school as Barry Sotoro. He became Barack Obama after he got out of law school. Interesting. And he went to college when he was just getting ready to turn 21 because Dada, who adopted him, was letting him go around the world for 2 years after graduating from nominal high school, which is from a private high school in Hawaii. That at the time he went had a tuition of $45,000 a year, not including room and board.
Wow.
Room and board at that time was somewhere around $4,000 a month. Okay? And that didn't include the recreation budget. I know I almost sent one of my sons to that thing. He had problems. That was 20 years ago. The tuition, not including room and board at that time, was $95,000 a year. Room and board was $6,000 a month. So I didn't think he deserved it. He didn't go. That same high school is $125,000 a year tuition now, not including room and board.
Dang. See, I got it up.
Where he went to high school.
I have up the picture right now so everyone can see it on the broadcast here. Lowell Santoro. All right. He's sitting there. He's in a chair. Got his little hand. He looked like a, maybe he's 5'4", 5'5", a small man, but this man had claws. This man, he could probably make you disappear when he was alive.
Okay. Now let's get back to the other thing. Dick Cheney and Halliburton. Dick Cheney is CEO of Halliburton. Halliburton is a Bush-Walker family enterprise, okay?
Right.
President Bush. Did anybody put it together, that thing CNN released where as a gag, all of these people got their DNA done, and it turns out Barack Obama and Dick Cheney are blood kin?
I don't recall seeing that myself, but...
Yeah. Dick Cheney, Warren Buffett, the billionaire, Barack Obama, or Barry Sotoro, and Brad Pitt are all blood relatives. So Dick Cheney is vice president of a company owned by the Bushes, and through Barry, a.k.a. Barack's grandmother. His grandmother is the one that's got the relationship, blood relative to Dick Cheney. Get the point?
Yeah.
A little incestuous thing in the family.
Well, I got right here. They paid Dick Cheney in 2004 $36 million as a severance package from Halliburton. Wow. I mean, 36 million bucks. He sold out his soul. I mean, in a metaphor kind of way, not like, oh my God, he's a Satan worshiper, nothing like that. But I'm just saying.
Well, he sold his soul out. He was one of the biggest clowns we've ever had in outside of Spiro Agnew in the vice presidency.
I'm glad you said that, Judge, because that is the truth. You know, why do these people? Too. Why is it so easy for these people to play these type of political games with us?
Because too much of the press is just interested on quietly bending over and getting butt fucked, or giving up head and they got a dick too, or munching beaver and they got one.
Wow.
That's their business, but they make everybody else pay for it. And these guys that they protect are into it with them. And I guess that's the initiation into that little club.
This club, it's like George Carlin said, there's a big club and we're not a part of it. And it's so obvious right now. I mean, in the past month, Judge, things have happened that I speculated on the show with potentialities, but they have actually happened. Stay at home, citizen, social distance. But hold on, you prostitutes, you cooks, and you janitors, come on out. Y'all essential workers. Let the rest of you wage slaves stay up in your shanty, if it applies. I mean, is there any consideration to how this pandemic and the response by the nation has increased the homelessness in this country?
Well, let's put it this way. Humans are enterprising creatures. Some of them have great character and they sacrifice for cause and country and tribe. All right? Cause, country, and tribe.
Well,
some of them are some no good scoundrels and they'll pimp any damn thing and they can find, from funerals, to money for poor folk, broke folk, crippled folk. They'll pimp it. They got people that pimp the revolution, pimp the movement, which is why black people are in a position they are in now, because there were a whole bunch of them pimping, the movement back in the late 60s.
You're talking about,
and they're going to have all kinds of pimps who are going to con this money going out.
You're right. I mean, look how many of even the folks that were up there on the banister where Dr. King was shot, all of them, they all turned out to be democratic demigods, but they really didn't do nothing to promote the economic benefit of us.
Well, let me get it this way. Not all of them were tarred with that brush, but all of them did get tarred with that brush. They had one or two people that actually had something going. Up on that balcony, peculiarly missing is a certain pedophile that my research when I was the last judge on the case fingered as being the one that was the inside person for the FBI so that King could get killed. That's Reverend Billy Kyles. And I hate to say that because I know some of his children. They're all right people. He's a pedophile, though. Chairman of the NAACP, Reverend Ben Hooks, who was also chairman of the FCC at one time under the Nixon administration. He was openly and notoriously gay. They were pulling the coattail the strings on him.
But even Dr. King's money partner was a gay, that listing guy or something.
Oh, you talking about Byron Bristol? Yes, he was.
There's a lot of gayness in the upper echelons of the NAACP, all these different movements and communists.
Not just NAACP.
It was throughout the system.
That was why the civil rights movement was perhaps like it was. It was populated by too many gays.
So is it almost safe to say if it were not for gay people with money, that thing could have taken off?
Well, no, that's not necessarily it. There were some good straight up people who were involved, of course. It was what made the civil rights bunch vulnerable was too many of those people that had bedroom addicts that they didn't want getting out, or pedophile type thing. But the truth of the matter is, from when it hit, I was out of high school. 1965 civil rights was dead, was not going to be revived because black folk wouldn't have anything to do with it. We young black folk, man, I'm not getting on my knees so once some redneck beat me across my head. There was another redneck feel guilty about it. I'm kicking some ass.
Wow.
So 64, 65, 66, you had Watts riots, Chicago, New York, Detroit, and the middle of these cities were getting burnt down.
Yeah.
You had the BSUs came out, military organizations, Black Panther Party, that kind of thing. You had organizations like us who were created by Ron Everett, a.k.a. Ron Karinga. They started Kwanzaa, and Ron Karinga was a sick puppy who had ambition, and he was an informant for the FBI and LAPD's SIS unit.
Wow.
Now, Kwanzaa got started, those who like to celebrate it, in 1966 at Lamert Park, the park, not the residential area, in LA on the Crenshaw, in the Crenshaw district. You see it in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, I remember that.
The purpose for starting that was so that black folk could be brought together to assemble and talk, and Karinga and his US organization could be informants more easily. So you can take Kwanzaa and go shove it in the nearest lake. I'm not celebrating anything started out by someone such an enemy of the people as Ron Everett, a.k.a. Ron Karinga.
Well, I do have a question from the chat room. Ask Judge about Steve Coakley, who did investigations on assassination of MLK.
On who?
Steve Coakley, the grassroots researcher, Steve Coakley. I believe that's what
look, I know who he is. There are people for devoted the last 30 years of their lives obsessing over this stuff. They go after this, that, and the other clue, but one of the problems is they have difficult time putting it together. Okay, he does research. But the bottom line is, the big story, they had 4 or 5 alternative scapegoats out there on the day. Ray was not even in town, but he was set up as a scapegoat. The FBI supplied the murder weapon and the ammunition and the resources to a 2-man hit team that was called from a special group of reserves in the Memphis, that area, within a 70-mile radius of Memphis, who had done 2 tours in the Knob. This is 1968. To use an XM21 7.62 NATO rifle with a suppressor that's a silencer on it, but a rifle silencer doesn't really silence. It just changes the sound signature. The shot came from the fire station. There was a 2-man hit team, the shooter and the spotter. The echo comes off of the face of the Lorraine Motel and Casket right there in the bushes, and right above the bushes is the flop house. Flop house was wedged, the window when they got there was wedged shut, couldn't be opened. And as a matter of fact, if you stuck a rifle barrel under the sash for the window, the scope sight would have been blocked by the rest of the window. You can't do it. The police department said the shot didn't come from there. And interestingly enough, they said, why are you charging Ray? He's not the gunman. He wasn't even in town. It's a setup. But for some reason, the Memphis, Tennessee DA's office wanted to go forward. And I know from being a criminal court judge, there was one occasion when I was supposed to go in front of a grand jury and testify because an assistant DA for the Shelby County District Attorney's Office was supposed to be presented along with his mama and some other people in front of the grand jury on 5 counts of first-degree murder. But that same day, George W. Bush nominated him to be U.S. Attorney. And everybody backed off.
I got another question.
And one of the most, according to Harvard, Yale, and Stanford law reviews, the most corrupt DA's office in the United States is the one here in Memphis, Shelby County, Tennessee. The current DA is a woman named Amy Wire. She has personally been found to have engaged in prosecutorial misconduct and dishonesty more personally than any other DA's office in the country has collectively. And I know she tried to fix a major dope case in my courtroom. And wanted to give somebody 800 some hits of crystal meth, 400 or 500 Dilaudid, a couple of hundred hits of LSD, pound of heroin, and 2.5 kilos of coke. Caught red-handed after a 3-year investigation by Metro Narco. She was going to let him go for 1 year suspended sentence in a $500 fine, unsupervised probation with his record expunged.
Slap on the wrist or holding hands. I mean, come on, that's
and let the girlfriend that was a big problem, part of it, drop the charges against her. Of course, they all went to the same church with the assistant DA in question, who's now the DA.
I got a side question. This came in on the phone. Ask Judge, has he noticed an increase in COVID cases due to the fact that Memphis is such a huge trading hub?
There are problems. FedEx is here, and FedEx has got its office workers working from home. They're talking about putting some of them on furlough. But I get deliveries once or twice a day from FedEx, and that's going on as of yesterday. So UPS is also headquartered here. The United States Post Office's bulk mail center is headquartered here. International Papers headquartered here. American Grain, and 3 of the largest grain exporting businesses in America are located here. This is the rail traffic center. The nexus of rail traffic in America comes through here. Yes, all of the above. Here is the problem. And it is also the largest predominantly black city in America. And as I said, I've been driving around in some business. I got a mask on, gloves on, and I'm looking at all the black folks with no mask, no gloves, trying to work someplace.
I hear you.
I just hang around on I can't be affected. I'm immune. I got melanine.
No, some of them just don't have no cheddar, man. That's the problem. A lot of people are just broke. They were broke prior to this.
No, these aren't broke folks. These folks got jobs. But, for example, there's nearby a Wendy's, and it's not busy. It's always cool. It's a neighborhood. No hassle getting into it because the restaurant, well, the fast food outlet is in the middle of a parking lot, right?
Right.
Big one. So the first time I go through there, a nice sister worked in the place. She had on her plastic gloves and her mask, and she was doing what she was doing. And the second time, same thing. Third time, well, the second time she talked about they needed more. She's going to give her nephew a chance, bring him in, who's standing up in there, no mask, handling the food, no gloves on.
Yep.
Hey, man, I dropped your $5 bill, man, on the car. You may have to pull up, man, get out and get it. No, get it. So this dude, no mask, up there holding the bag and the drinks in his bare hand, right?
Right.
He's going to go over, pick up the $5 off the ground, hand me the $5 bill. I took the money, gingerly, put it on the seat. I said, give me my money back. Huh? You don't have any gloves and mask on. I want my money back. Man, what kind, man? You trying to mess with me, man? All that shit, man, that ain't nothing but conspiracy, man. I said, all the orange thought came out. I said, I want my money back. He doesn't have any gloves on, doesn't have a mask on. He said, I told you, look, Anna, I ain't going through all them things. I can't breathe up under no damn mask. He didn't say mask, he said mask. I can't breathe up under no mask.
Stop, Josh. I can't take it.
He gave me my money back. I haven't been back.
I'm seeing this scene of this buffoonery up in my head. And they're all jerking at their talking and shit. Oh my God. You know, evolutionarily speaking, is Corona 19, does it seem like it's going to target those who are unwilling or unable to adapt to the new reality of which we live in?
Well, yeah, but here, look, I told you this last week that this thing is paralleling the flu virus in 1918 outbreak, pandemic.
Right.
Spanish flu, which was an American flu. It originated in Kansas, United States, and patient zero was a cook at an army base. All right, infected thousands of people. He died of natural causes in 1952 because he survived. But there is a curve from that looks just exactly like the curve right now. We've got almost 750,000 people that have been infected in the United States. Those were just the people who went in, for the most part, to hospitals, and does not include the much larger number that stayed home.
Correct.
Okay. You've got 84,000 of them that died. Now, in 1918, by this time, April, they had a death toll of about 26,000, not 84,000. Well, people started saying it's slowing down, so let's let people go back in the isolation thing that some cities had been doing. They went back to work. Well, by the end of August, from the end of August to early February 1919, the death toll jumped from 24,000 to about 18 million in the United States. The worldwide death toll, depending upon what set of statistics you look at, may have been between 50 and 100 million, and they don't know because they just shoveled a lot of people into mass graves here in the United States too. So this is matching similar kind of code. COVID-19 infects like colds do. Everybody listening has been infected with a coronavirus, one of the causes of the common cold. And what do they say about the common cold? There is no cure to the common cold.
Exactly.
Well, right now, there's no cure for COVID-19, which is the name of the disease.
Well, then how do we get jokers like Bill Gates talking about viruses?
Treated by certain things, but what they're treating it with this anti-malarial drug has been found now not to really have any impact on it. They thought it might, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's like they used to treat gonorrhea with arsenic.
Oh, God.
And arsenic is a poison. It's commonly used to kill rats.
Correct.
Now, if you didn't give the person enough arsenic, it didn't do anything for the gonorrhea. And he sort of kind of just got sick. If you gave him just the right amount, it would kill off the gonorrhea over a long period. But if you gave him too much, it would kill the person because it's poison. That anti-malarial drug in most people kind of works like arsenic. It's a poison. So you're carrying a mosquito-borne parasite for malaria. If you have a sickle cell trait, you can be healthy while you're infected with malaria. But if you have too many of the recessives, then you get sickle cell disease, you sicken and you die. It's evolution. This stuff that causes COVID-19 has mutated. Its technical name is SARS, capital SARS hyphen, capital C, small case O, capital D, -2. SARS, that was a worldwide pandemic 17, 18 years ago, is SARS-CoV-1. That MERS that was in the Middle East, which MERS is Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. That was SARS-CoV-18. SARS is sudden onset acute respiratory syndrome. What happens is it may cause you to die from pre-existing conditions. But if it gets past the throat area, it infects the lungs. What happens is it kills off a lot of cells in your lung sac. That's called the alveoli or alveoli. And they die and they form pus. So what happens is the person's lungs fill up with pus and they slowly suffocate like they're slowly drowning in goo.
Right.
They tried respirators and they've had problems with them because the people's air sacs are so badly wrecked by the activity of the virus that they can't take it and it kills them. But that's the best thing they can do for somebody is to intubate them where they give them pressurized oxygen because there's not enough free surface in the lungs to get oxygen ordinarily, and you're trying to keep this guy from smothering or feeling like he's drowning, literally, and that's a horrible way to go.
You experienced that.
So it's better for him to at least get the oxygen and go quick rather than slowly dying of drowning. Now, let me break it to you this way. Humans have no natural enemies anymore. There's nothing out there walking around that we can see that wants to eat us. But there are some microbes that want to eat us. They're viruses. They have to invade our bodies, take over our cell structures. They don't reproduce. They can't. They have to take over our cells so our DNA starts replicating their DNA. Correct. Then that does them no good because the host may die or the host may develop antibodies that kill them all. So once they have replicated, they need to get out and move on. So the sicker we get, the better for them, because the more we vomit, the more we cough, the more we sneeze, the more we shit when we got diarrhea, that gives them a chance to get out of the body of the victim they've taken over and spread to other bodies, which are happy hunting grounds where they can feed and breathe.
Exactly. And speaking of, what about the
so
homeless
we're at
community?
war with a bunch of little microscopic invading aliens.
That's an accurate way of saying it, but what you described was a homeless encampment in downtown Memphis. They're shitting, they're pissing, they're urinating everywhere. What is going to be done with that community with these revelations of just how, dangerous these materials could be to other human beings?
We pay so much attention to basketball, baseball, football, Kardashians, Pose, Empire. And we miss the essentials which are necessary to survive. Several hundred years ago, if you were a Native American who lived around here, there used to be a pretty big grizzly population. You had to be careful what you did because what would happen? One of them might grab you and eat you.
Correct.
Okay? Well, dumb bunny who sit around la-da-da, I don't care, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. Or I pray to Jesus all the time. Yeah, but I don't see Jesus out here with a mask and gloves on, and he ain't got a respirator for your ass either.
Judge.
So it's kind of sort of, I were you, I ain't met nobody that's been there and come back.
No.
So whether to take a chance on making your trip there to find out if there is in fact the heaven and the hell to free to a matter, I would suggest you take adequate precautions so these little bitty fuckers don't gang up on your ass and eat you up from inside.
Correct. I mean,
now there is this other thing. People need the money. They need the job, right. And they may have folks to support. Well, that's nothing new either. As I said, if you were Native American and you lived in this area 600 years ago, you had to worry about the grizzly bears and the mountain lions. By the way, 23 people have been killed in L.A. in the last 15 years by mountain lions.
Yeah, on those trails.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
I've seen some. I used to live on a street called Mountain Lion Road in an outlying county, and I saw 2 mountain lions walking across my property one day. So it was aptly named. They'd eat you too.
Yeah, but I shoot them
so
first.
To carry out your business, you had to risk getting eaten. So I suppose nowadays, if you happen to have one of those kind of jobs, you might have to be in danger of getting eaten by the little bitty motherfuckers rather than some big one.
And they will eat you fine and proper.
But at least know the odds. I mean, back then you walked out with your bow and arrow, spear, or war club, or some point going out there crazy with holding nothing.
No.
Take some precautions. Ain't no shame in being smart.
But it should be mandatory.
Best warriors in the world wore bat armor and carried shields.
What did you say about the Spanish flu? It was carried by a cook. You know, the essential worker guy, the cook over that soup. Fast food workers.
Yeah, he was, I don't remember his name, but he was an Army cook at a base in Kansas that was being filled up with draftees, you know, because America had declared war early part of 1917 on Germany, and the troops were getting built up. And he was serving all these people, talking about he was feeling ill, and he told them to keep going. And he fell out, knocked some pots and pans over, and they had to, you know, treat him for 2 weeks, you know, just feed him soup and gruel and stuff like that and water. He recovered, but a whole bunch of folks, thousands, came down. Now, the bad part with this SARS thing, or COVID-19, the disease caused by SARS-CoV-2, is that you were contagious for some long time before you showed symptoms.
Correct.
And they don't know how soon after you stop showing symptoms that you're still contagious.
If ever. If you don't meet some sort of equilibrium in your body where the virus has a space and your natural cells have a space.
Well, that's kind of like you're infected with HIV.
Exactly.
You don't show symptoms, maybe, and you can infect other people, and then you come down with AIDS.
And that has exploded. That has exploded again, Judge.
Deficiency syndrome.
See,
and you know, like AIDS, like polio.
Yes. But some
suggest
that
there
polio,
ain't no cure for it. But you see, you know what's so tragic about it?
What's that?
If they came up with a preventive for COVID-19, these folks wouldn't take it. I ain't getting no shot, man. I ain't getting no, man. You crazy, man. They got all kinds of poisons up in that, man. Toxins, man. That's just killing the black folk off, man.
Well, yeah.
You know what I think it is? I've always had an interest in medicine and known a lot of doctors, male and female. My grandfather was a doctor. And I've been in a whole lot of doctors' offices and elementary schools when I used to teach, substitute teach, and seeing these kids screaming and shrieking like they're some little sissified dog, screeching because somebody's about to give them a shot. And I think those same people that were screeching and screaming as children are running around talking about they ain't taking no shot, they ain't getting all that poison put in their system. They're just scared of getting one.
Yeah. A lot of that also goes back to this, everything's about Tuskegee. A lot of people know that the Tuskegee thing was really bad for black folks, but that goes back to there's no such thing as a free lunch. Someone's offering you free healthcare money, participate in this research program or that. You should have your third eye open and know that, hey, somebody's going to benefit, and it probably ain't going to be you. And people need to
let me tell you
understand.
this. That Tuskegee experiment thing, we got into it back in the 60s. They got into it when they found out about it in the 50s. It's not new. What it was they had a bunch of poor black folk that were coming into an adjunct Tuskegee Institute that was funded by the Fed to do medical research. They never told these people that they were positive for syphilis. So they wanted to see what happened when you did not treat syphilis. Now they got a great bunch of useful medical information. But these poor folk never got treated for syphilis. Even after they came up with a complete cure for it, they never treated it.
Well, that's
what's so bad. In other words, these poor blacks, forget them. Let's just see what happens if they die.
Well, they're quite literally the baby in the backwater.
Yeah, but you have to understand, too, there's a context. They didn't just do this to black people. All of these white boys that were jumping out of windows in the 50s and going crazy and were trying to fight Russians. Better dead than red, right?
Right.
They gave LSD and other psychotropics to a lot of unknowing white folk, too, who jumped out of windows, went crazy, and had to be institutionalized. And they never told them that, hey, man, you didn't go crazy. We just gave you something to make you go crazy to see what you do.
And
so black folk weren't the only ones, so you have to put it in context.
But what about when we look at things like Period IGO, the St. Louis housing project that came out that CIA ran programs where they had gas and they were shooting the gas down on people as they were going in and out of the facility. I mean, there is a actual academic record of these programs being disproportionately pointed towards people of color. Now, we know about the soldiers that had the LSD experiment and the MK Ultra experiments, but then there were other experiments as well. And I get what you're saying.
I got you. But it's like, see, let me explain this. It's harsh, but it's a reality. I do not condone it, and I think it's personally embarrassing.
Correct. It's quite trifling.
What continent on the whole of the planet Earth has the least respect?
I would say at this point it would be North America.
No, it's not.
Which one would it be?
It'd be Africa.
Oh, well,
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Look, I didn't want to.
Sub-Saharan Africa, outside of white folk, which are looked at as a colony in South Africa, they do not have an army of any significance. They are not military adepts. Correct. They have nothing they can do the best consequence. And if a country doesn't have an army or some fanatic that'll go on jihad, you get no respect.
That is true.
So black folk come from a country that a geographic area that has no respect. Out of the goodness of everybody's hearts, they treat Africa like it's a colony of ASPCA animals, where poor Oscar is out there freezing or sweltering in the sun with nobody to love him. So give $19.95 a month to help Oscar so he can get some love.
Sally Strutter's eating snack cakes while they're filming.
Yeah. So that's Africa. So we come from Africa. We get no respect from Africa. Africa doesn't have a military. The truth of the matter is Africa will get no respect from anybody in the world until some African immigrants over here do it. Now, let's talk about what's happening since we said COVID-19 and how they are scapegoating Africans and trying to deport them and stuff.
Right.
That sounds like us. It's a major country. But check this out. We have maybe 64 million or so identifiable Afro-Americans, or at least answered that on the last census, right?
Right.
They got 90-some million Afro-Chin. In other words, they got a third more part African, part Chinese, who part African, part white boy.
Wow. So the whole genetic
place where all this is going on is in southern China, and it's known as Little Africa because so many Africans moved there. Why do you have so many Africans and Chinese? Well, the Chinese said they had too many people 40 years ago, and they decided to do something about it. So since abortion is encouraged and enforced, at least up to the point where last year they now let them have 2 children again, not just 1.
Right.
The women decided they'd rather have sons than daughters. So right now there is a disproportion between men and women. Mm-hmm. There are roughly 5 Chinese men for every 3 Chinese women. So these Chinese men readily volunteer to go work with construction projects, damming things, making railroads and infrastructure in Africa because they get African pussy. So these Chinese guys go down there, get them some African pussy, and they get married to them and bring them back. And the wife they brought back brings back some relatives. So they got 90-some million Afro-Chin that are part African, part Chinese.
What? Now, were those the people that were getting abused last week?
Yeah, that's some of them, not all of them. That's like China. See, we have 330 million or so people in the United States.
Right.
China has 330 million plus an extra billion on top of it.
Yes, they do.
So there are areas, and you've got, you've got areas in China that are urban and sophisticated, right?
Correct.
And then you have their equivalent of backwoods Mississippi, or hillbilly Kentucky, or hillbilly Ozark, Arkansas.
Well, you stop, because that's a totally different. You don't see hillbillies out there spit roasting the dog over an open fire.
Yeah, the same thing. They be out there hunting possums.
You're right about that. You're right about that. They will eat some possum up.
Oh, they got their peasants like we have our peasants. You up in Mississippi, when they get down, they get to talk about ain't and ghosts and shit. And they believe that shit. They ain't talking about no movie. They talking about Uncle Charlie. He saw a Hank day before yesterday.
Uncle Charlie. Superstition and poverty goes hand in hand, folks. It's a coping mechanism. When you're outside of economic power and strength, you have to go to the fairy tale realm to cope. So that's.
Let me give you an example about ignorance. I used to date this sister, and we went down there to Jackson, Mississippi, to visit some friends. Okay, her relatives, right?
Right.
So we're visiting some of her country relatives. So I had a pistol, and the guy wanted to see the pistol. I was showing him. He's showing me his 12 gauge, and his brother picked it up. Yeah, man, we raised with guns. You don't point that gun at anybody, man. Well, I'm raised wild guns. I know how to handle guns. He had no more said that than it went off. Boom! Oh, look at the street.
Oh, my God. Fooling.
You know, if you would have that pointed at somebody, you'd have a dead relative.
But he's been raised around guns, Judge. He's been raised around guns. You know, that overconfident gag, especially when you should be this cool and chill, that's the downfall. I think it goes hand in hand with an oppressive mindset. You know,
wait a minute. It's kind of hard for somebody who didn't just get back from a professional heavyweight prize fight with no teeth in his mouth to be trying to give you advice on a damn thing. At least get some false teeth, get some dentures, fool. Don't be trying to tell me about what you know with no teeth in your mouth.
You don't know it's time to get yourself.
Now, wait a minute. I mean, look. Not long ago, somebody would see you young folk don't know what we old folk do. I'm looking at this dude, and I had an idea how old he was from what his family had told me. I said, when were you born? See, I'm old, man. I say, look, I'm 70 years older than your dumb ass. Now quit talking about you elderly, fool. I know you just been living a hard life for ignorance.
Exactly.
You ain't no 70 years older than me. I said, man, look, let's do the math. You say you were born in 1954. I was born in 1947. That's 7 years.
I don't know
So
what
I'm 7 years older than you. So you listen to Big Brother over here when I'm telling you that's some bull. And get you some teeth for the front of your mouth. It look ugly.
Oh, yes.
At least if you ain't got no teeth, get your damn mouth shut. Quit trying to grin. You look ignorant.
It is unsightly and ungainly for real.
And your breath stinks. It ain't like you got a whole lot of teeth to brush. Just brush the few you got so your breath don't smell so foul.
But it's so hard to floss with one tooth.
Now, there's one good thing about this mask, and I just thought about it. You know why some of these brothers, they ain't got no mask on? Because their breath stinks.
Stop.
If you smell your breath with a mouth mask on, you know, I always carry some mouth. Well, man, no wonder you ain't got no mask on, man. He can't stand his own breath, man. And knock the hippo out of his feet, man. If he breathes in the direction of that funky breath, he knock his breath out. Get out of the car, man. He won't make it to the front door of the place, man. So he be knocking himself out with his own breath.
No. Oh, no. Please, people, please use your PPE. Please brush your teeth and use your PPE, please.
I know, man. You so ignorant, you're going to knock yourself out with your own ignorance, man. You so stupid, your mind going to get a grasp on how dumb your ass is. You take yourself out and think, talking about that thing. I got those.
You know what's so sad? What's so utterly sad is how it's just how confident and almost godlike people are in their ignorance. It's like you try to educate someone who obviously don't know the score. You know, you try to say, hey, look, you know, you're behind on the score, but they're so invested in their ignorance. They're so, I guess, endowed with their complete and utter lack of knowledge and understanding that they will so resist you to even become violent.
Wait a minute. And then, you know, play fire on the wall. You're hanging around, and they bragging about the nookie they got. Yeah, man. Man, I knocked that out, man. It was super tough, man. Took me 5 minutes to bust up, man.
5 minutes to bust a nut in a whore.
5 minutes, that's all you can play. Yeah, man. Put that snake in that tongue, man. You better be getting up 5 minutes back, because that's a long time, man. You say you go. Wait a minute, wait. What woman are you talking about? That one over there in the blue. I don't see a woman in the blue. That one, man. That's a woman? Damn. I thought she escaped from the Memphis City Zoo, man. Damn.
I was the goon up in the house.
Hey, excuse me. 411, you have a listing for the Memphis City Zoo? Thank you. I'll hold. Look, animal control. No, I don't want animal control. I want the zoo. Oh, it is a zoo. Okay, animal control. Look, one of your exhibits is escaped from the pachyderm house. It's down here frolicking away. It might trample somebody.
Big Mama Jamma on the loose. but that goes back. That goes back to our unrealistic view of sexuality in general. You know, a lot of brothers want to jump out the gate, bag as many chicks as they can, not realizing that's not the real play anyways. It's not
but
about.
they ain't even bagging about chicks.
They're not what?
They're not bagging a bunch. They ain't getting laid. They talking about they got a piece once, like, man, I got up in that sack 3 times last year. I think they laid for 3 times last year. A whole, and you under, wait, you under 30, you didn't get the three pieces of nookie in 365 days? What the hell is wrong with you?
Oh, but I jacked off a bunch, Judge. I mean, come on, what the fuck? I mean, why would you even
look at, you mean her? You ain't getting no pussy, man. You stuck it in a fold, man. That's too big to get to the pussy.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
Man, he didn't even get it 3 times over the year. He got folds right and got the tip in the 3rd time, man.
Tipping? Tipping the cow. Oh, my God. Stop. Tipping the cow. Oh, no. We can't talk about.
Hey, man, I don't want to say nothing, but dude got a direct dial number for Farmer John up in his phone, man. One of them old 15-year-old phones with speed dial to Farmer John so he can go visit the barnyard when he wants something, man.
I fucked her 3 times, but had all the sheep I wanted. That's nasty as fuck. I mean,
he got to pay for that, man.
These people, why are we so primitive, Judge? Well, I mean, seriously, in this state when we're almost about ready to go to space, we're still motivated like little, I guess, mammals by our nether regions. Who can bump uglies? Who can do this? Who can do that? It's like, when are we going to ascend higher as a group? Not focus on the physical experience, but the psychological and academic experience that opens up new opportunities and new visions.
Dog is on, dude. Man, that's your mama, man? Damn, no wonder you so messed up, man. You be seeing something, like there's an accident or something, you stop to see if you can help, and you see what it looks like. Damn, man, you can't eat for several weeks because every time you get ready to eat something, you see that vision in your mind. You go, damn. It makes me, it's like, damn, just be ugly. Like, mama's so ugly, she keeps coming back on your ass all the time. Man, I saw that dude's mama, man. Man, I was out with a lady friend about to start down on a steak, man. I got ready to put a fork full in, man. It had a little image of that little mama, man. I said, damn. I lost my appetite, man. I had to take a doggy bag home. Couldn't eat none of that shit, man.
That's sure enough how it goes. That's sure enough how it goes. But the sad thing about it, I fear that if we don't get these young brothers and sisters right, boy, in another 20 years, we won't be able to have this discussion.
You ever watch the Smithsonian Channel or the military channel?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
You see that thing that the Bruce Jenner thing? It's Nussbaum, Dr. Lynette Nussbaum, that used to be Louis Nussbaum.
No.
Cute little curly-head white boy with blonde curls, and now he transitioned to a funny-looking curly-haired blonde white chick. Now he a fat, ugly-looking blonde white chick with a wig on. Lynette Nussbaum, Dr. Nussbaum. Teaches at the British equivalent of West Point, Amherst, I think it is. Boy, I know he have a good time with all them boys marching around and in well-fitted uniforms. I know he a freak.
You think?
They just love his ass. They ain't putting in all kinds of shit. Ain't even got nothing to do with military. history and stuff. Why they got this dude in here talking about, building structure? Get that puzzle out the way. I do not want to see him. If he comes on, I turn the channel off. Only reason why I haven't turned it is I've got it on mute, and I just looked up and saw that ugly flat food.
But you know what this is, Judge? It's a blitzkrieg. They're blitzkrieging the white male population with that Joe Tiger, this other freak you're talking about, and a whole host of others to be like, look, guys, you don't want to be fucking barbarian savages. No, what you want to be is an effeminate man getting butt raped by a rich man or whatever type of man you could scrounge up.
Yeah. If you seen this new commercial, they got Truvia or something like that for gay folks, so it keeps them from getting HIV so readily. They got a new one. And then they got this fat-looking freak thing with a wig on saying, this is for queens and those in between and then wanting to be queen.
Wow.
What the hell is that shit? Then they got all these little sweet boys holding hands. But come on now.
Wow.
Go put that someplace where it's rated R,
like Pornhub. It's so sad because I had Dr. Randy Short on earlier today, and he asked me to pull up a video. It was called Boy Pussy video. I could only get like 15 seconds or so into it before the chat room erupted. I was like, this is just too much. They had this the atypical rapper guy sitting down with 4 dudes in like stretch pants, yoga pants, shaking, twerking. And I'm like, this is fuck no. That's not what this show, that's not what it's about.
Who ain't supposed to twerk? The sisters do, but
damn. No, it's just damn. It's how could you put that? Don't forget, this is not just somebody in their home video, Judge. This is some production agency. There was a camera.
Wait.
There was a sound guy.
Sagged and bagged and dudes walking around with their belts on down below their ass to hold their pants up. That sagged and bagged thing.
Yeah, well, that's about right. That's dead. You don't hardly see too much of that.
Hold on. When you said boy pussy, the first time I saw that, I was interviewing some fiend on the yard at the main penitentiary up in Nashville. It is July 1980. That's 40 years ago. All right?
Right.
I looked up and saw somebody like that. Usually they tailor their jeans. They can't wear any belt, but they're tailored. They look tailored jeans and shirts and stuff.
Right.
But this dude's wearing stuff hung off his butt. He said, "Oh, Lordy Brown, we making us some man pussy up in here."
Oh.
That's a signal for anybody wants some when the guards ain't around, bend them down, pull them down, get down, and if you try to run, you fall down, booty up in the air, ain't gone nowhere.
Booty up in the
cell
air.
blocks, you make them take their pants off, don't let them wear no drawers, that shirt, that big his dress, we already done made some jewelry off the metal shop. Jamal rode off to get from the state care package to some rouge, mascara, eyeshadow, lipstick, and plastic nail. We gonna girl this dude all the way out. He gonna be some good man pussy.
That's sick.
And a few years later, I saw him starting to wear that shit out on the street. And every time I see some dude with his pants hung out like that, first time I ever heard it, still stuck in my mind. I said, "Oh man, dude, man pussy for somebody."
when no one's watching, you bend over in the alley.
I mean, all this bullshit you be talking, I bet you for real, man pussy for real. Who getting it? You tell me. I ain't gonna tell nobody.
I remember.
I just put your ass in the hall of shame.
The hall of shit, they're shameless.
Dare your ass to come out.
They are shameless. I remember that one story that you had told us about how the prisoners took the dude up there and basically, like you said, they made him run around on the floor without, pants on or underwear. And, just how shameful that activity should have been for all participants. Because don't forget, many of those guys that you're talking about probably were released from jail at some sort of point in time.
I was a judge. I'd have these petitions to suspend remainder of sentence. And I'm looking at the probation report, and I'm looking at page 7. and he's HIV positive. And then I got 14 dudes that day that have petitions sent, and 7 of them, 8 of them, 9 of them out of 14 HIV positive. They've been butt fucking all for each other. And they got the girlfriends down there talking about, I want my man back to my house so he can help me with things. So what he gonna do? So I'm not gonna keep this quiet. So he's HIV positive. He's gonna have AIDS. So if you take him back, he's gonna die. And this is 1993 or 4 or something like that. I said, looks like your situation, you can't afford to have anybody take care of your kids. So if you want to be a good mama, I wouldn't take him back. He's gonna kill you.
Yes. And the sad thing about it, the people you're speaking on, they're probably already dead by now or on their way out. You know, if they don't have those suppressant drugs or whatever. But that is, you know, I just see these dumb chicks. Oh, I still need them,
and
Judge.
Something else too. I'd go visit the jail and I'd want to walk through and look at conditions because at one point I was administrative judge for criminal courts down here. So I'm walking through the detention facility. They got anywhere from 2,400 to 4,400 people up in there, way overcrowded. So the walls are hollow. And when you go through the bathrooms, they have these one-way mirrors that are in the restroom, and you can see through them. And you can also see through what looks on the outside to be a grate, but on the inside is a viewing area. And all these dudes got some dude bent over, butt screwing him, you know, or they get butt fucked too, you know, this kind of thing. And then they come in your courtroom talking about they OG gangster, and you got this image in your head like, I just saw this dude getting butt fucked by 3 different dudes up in there. He going for bad. Ain't this the same?
I witnessed account on the street, Judge. I saw. That's disgusting.
Ain't this the same?
And then he's gonna get out on the streets, you know, pull his pants up, hopefully, or whatever. And talking about, I'm a man, Judge. I've been, you know, first time you meet.
But you should see him. You should see him. We got a motion to suppress because the statement was not given voluntarily. And he's out there on a recess. I used to hang out in the courtroom, you know, instead of going back in chambers, talk to the lawyers. So when anybody got any business, just let me know. You know, we call the court back to order and make the announcement. So anyway, I'm listening to this. Yeah, man, you know, like I'm down for cause, man. Yeah, man, you know, like, man, they just lying, man. I ain't about to say nothing about so-and-so, man. You know, like, OG, man, you know, hey. So anyway, we get back in session and we gonna go take a look at it in chambers. And I'll have a court reporter go back there. I go back there with this dude's lawyer and the prosecutor, right?
Right.
I stood out there talking about the OG. He's in there. Oh, mama. Snot running out his nose, tears running down his cheek. They haven't touched him. And he telling him, sir, you have a right to have an attorney here. If you can't afford one, we'll stop and go, I'm very dead.
Oh, my God.
And then I get back in there, and he's still trying to pose, you know. Yeah. Well, the defendant was crying, and snot was running out of his nose, obviously. They had a box of Kleenex that he used liberally. And he wasn't talking about lawyers. For the record, the police advised him on the court's count no less than 11 times that he had a right to an attorney, and they would stop if he wanted one appointed. But he was crying for his mama, Miss Albert, the sob and everything, talking about he wanted his mama. And he said he wanted his mama. The court counted 29 times, and he was crying about it. And he said he'd sign anything just to see his mama again. And they kept saying, don't you think you need to discuss this with a lawyer? I don't want a lawyer. I want mama. And I imitated it. This dude just started hanging his head and crying. He's doing this we're doing right here. Crying with snot running out of his nose, tears running out of his eyes, trying to go for bail. Of court's going to deny the motion to suppress. It was clearly a voluntary statement. The police has, the court has already noted, advised him, stopped, in fact, on 11 different occasions that the court observed, to advise him that he needed to consult with an attorney if he felt reluctant to make a statement.
But he wants his mama. I want my mama.
Oh yeah, all the time. And see, they tell their parents, or not, well, parent, mama or grandmama, big mud deal, whatever the devil it is.
Big mama.
Medea, ain't that the one that fat tranny puts out all the time? What's his name? Perry something. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
Tyler Perry. Big mama.
Yeah,
Tyler.
that tranny. Anyway, Medea crap. So they'll go off and start playing that stuff, and you know, they ain't got any respect for manhood, and they park out and they tell on their friends, and they rat them out and all kinds of stuff. Like, man, dude, get the man in you, damn.
That's the
all
problem.
You had to do was act like a man, and they wouldn't have had anything on you.
But his mama, Judge,
and then he's talking about how they picked on him, he didn't do this. And then I'm listening to this dude on the tape confess to what he did. And he's talking about they lied. I ain't never said, God damn, fool. So sometimes I just said, okay, well, perhaps what we need to do is let the defendant look at this and put it on the record as to whether or not this is a fabrication, something that was, Photoshop? You know, they didn't have that then, but, you know, something that was manufactured. So I'd play it in the courtroom so all his homies could see him broke down, you know, so he didn't have any clout when he got out.
That judge
man, you see, dude, man, talk all that smack, man, you up there acting like baby boy, you know, baby girl.
Baby girl. Stop. Baby girl in jail ain't the role to play. You don't want to be baby girl in jail. Well, you know.
One dude say, what? One dude said, what? Man, I have my homie. I said, wait a minute. Madam Court Reporter, turn the record up. So look, you son of a bitch. I'm listed in the directory, goddammit. My address is in there. You send your homeboy by. We have a real good party. I got some frustration dealing with the likes of you up in here. Yeah, send them back. Now, back to this. Now that we got that resolved, let's get on with this case. You got any problems?
No, Judge. You know, you can say no, Judge.
Anybody out there in this? I'm listed in the phone directory if you want to pay a visit by and have some opportunity to get some excitement. I like that kind of stuff. I'll have praise. Now, come on by. Now, let's get back to this case.
What? So didn't you get some sort of flack from that fragrant alpha masculinity, or how they say toxic masculinity display on, you know, because you're being a real man right there. You're like, come on, damn it.
But they didn't say crap to me, because the bottom line was that the last time I ran, I was the only person in 140 some years of history in Shelby County to get every single precinct in the contested election, and my opponent's mama owned the only daily newspaper.
Oh, that's sad.
They weren't messing with me, and the people loved it.
Yeah, you have a man standing up against, you know, I mean, what it is.
See, the whole thing is they, in the neighborhood, all the justifications are just leading to punk status. Sissified, no manhood, punk status. So the statewide recidivism rate was 80%. In my courtroom, it was 18, because what I taught was manhood. So the control factor was not whether the police were nearby, it's the person you couldn't escape from in the mirror the next morning. That was the control factor. And all it was just say, you want to be a man, here's how you be one.
Taking care of
I
business.
got them believing in manhood. And once they accepted that, it's like a new recruit to Jesus or something. They're zealots, you know.
Right, because they get that sense of power, Judge. A lot of this wickedness, or if you want to call it wickedness or bad behavior, at the root is a lack of power.
Well, see, here's the thing in the black community. Black women get Jesus. Black men don't need Jesus. They need manhood.
Right.
And see, you give them manhood when all they got was a corrupted form of a white boy's Jesus.
They don't want to hear that, Judge. You feel?
See, they got this image of a limp thing up there with this languid look on his face, like he ought to be walking down Hollywood Boulevard. And all of the boys prancing around up on the pulpit, lusting to have it, and the sisters out there wanting to go get them some Jesus for real, but they'll take the preacher as a stand-in, you know.
Correct.
The dude is cut off. He's got no image. He's got an image of some language, somebody that gets executed for being a felon. He needs a masculine image. Young black males don't need that image. They need a warrior with a spear in his hand and a shield, or better still, that warrior with a shield and a spear morphs into the brother in jungle camouflage in AK-47 with grenades and a machete. See, that's what he needs in his head. That's the image.
Correct. Not some pseudo-pacifist, androgynous creation.
And see, when we get into African stuff, the sisters always love to come out in their very gaudy African attire and robe. Which particular culture it came from, they do not know, but it looks pretty to them. And a lot of them are overweight and disguised as the extra poundage, you know, because of the way it is. And that's not an image for a boy. What the hell is that supposed to be? That's like wearing a dress almost. It may be African and masculine attire, but the mamas pick it because they think it looks pretty. What he ought to be wearing is not that kind of attire. He ought to be wearing jungle camouflage.
Well, yeah. Something that I'm sorry. I love seeing this dude basically like in a floral, bright yellow dress. You look good, baby boy. Okay, mama.
See, it's not that they didn't wear dashikis back in the 60s. Yeah, they did. That was cool. But they were green, olive, drab, tan, brown, you know, whatever, where somebody could, you know, be ready for the revolution. Now they got all this gaudy shit that looks like some version of a girl's attire.
Exactly.
And, you know, they don't even get it. It's like, okay, man, sandals are cool for what they are, but you need to get you some boots or some running shoes for what you're doing, man, because you can't get on up to what you got on.
We're gonna storm the castle, Judge, in our flip-flops. We're gonna storm the castle. They're not thinking.
And then it's not that some Africans don't wear it, but a friend of mine is a master martial artist. He puts on a yearly symposium attended by masters all over the world. I remember one time I was in attendance and these brothers had these African garments on and they showed how they had razor blade pieces sewn into the hems and how you could do this, that, and the other. And the guy did this trick with this robe and decapitated a man.
Damn.
You know, this boom. I said, man, that's impressive shit. He said, they think we wear these robes to be pretty in them. No, but we put these big thorns that look like what you call in the South, the Bodoc thorns. You know, you can rip somebody up. Nowadays, we take these old razors, you know, that put in a safety razor. We cut them or the kind with a mark on the one end, mine, and you put them in that, and you do this, that, and he showed us how to do it, how to sew it in, the elaborate thing, how you can cut somebody's wrist with it, cut somebody's throat, or even decapitate somebody with it.
That's insane.
And then he said the missionaries, they like us to do this dance and be praising Jesus. But what they don't know is just what the dance look like to them. But see, this what it really be. We how these young boys practicing this move so they can kill somebody without having a gun handy.
Wow.
And they demonstrated. I said, yeah, go ahead on.
That's called tactics and strategy. You know, you can't
Yes,
force
not all
yourself.
that little pretty boy give up the booty man publicity stuff that they got our boys doing.
But look at Jesse Smollett, Judge. If you give up the booty, you become
Juicy Jesse.
Yeah, moist.
His name is Justin Smollett.
Yes.
But he picked a pseudonym that in French is pronounced Juicy, and he's now saying not Smollett, but Smollett. So it's Juicy Jesse Smollett.
That's disgusting.
Smollett.
Because
Juicy Smollett.
When you're dealing with a chick, juicy is the vagina. Okay, so there's juice there. But when you're talking about a man, the only juice in your booty is called diarrhea.
Apparently, they talking about KY.
Oh, God.
One of the and this is funny. One of the things that you think they'd smuggle into the jail would be dope, right?
Oh no! What do they smuggle? You would think dope, but
KY package.
I trade you this package of KY for some of that commissary.
Actually, they sell it on commissary, but they won't sell condoms.
Oh my God. So you're saying you're going to sell the grease oil for a man to rape another man, basically, but you're not going to sell the protection. Okay, I see.
Rape? They ain't raping. When I see walking through those walls to check on the state of the jail, which I had to report to the grand jury, they were enjoying it. Dude that was getting mud fucked would be, hold on. He going to dig up some KY packets and put it on his own, but now you can't bend over. Damn.
And but you would think that the CEOs would put a stop to all that. You would.
No, they don't even watch. They don't get up in there. They sit at their desk. They get to munching on a box of Cracker Jacks or something. You know, they got time for something else. And some of these dudes, if they got locked up for the next door neighbors, or the dude when he's out dating their assistant.
What a sick world! What a sick world! You know, we really need to do something with this criminal justice system. We need to reform it some kind of way. You know, make jails more of a rehabilitation situation instead of some sort of gay sex. Whatever.
They need to make it something other than an LGBTQ recruitment facility.
Yeah, that's
auditioning facility.
Yeah, I mean, because think about it. Back in the day, every rapper, I went to jail. I earned my stripes. Blah blah blah, etc. It's like I never did understand why.
We're talking about more than that too. Man got to do what a man got to do. No, you ain't got to bend over and get your booty boo.
You ain't been there. You don't know. You ain't been there. And I ain't planning on going there either, buddy. So I mean, that's been a deal. You know, a lot of times you meet people, you know, for the very first time back in the day. I'm talking about the late 90s, early 90s and all that. And the first thing out their mouth, you know, where did you go to jail? And I was here and I was here and I was there. And I'm like, I'm looking at these people like, what kind of film, you know, because at the time I was a construction guy. Unfortunately, a lot of companies would hire these losers, and they were losers. They didn't know how to do shit, read tape measures, cut boards, lay out walls, frame up shit. They didn't know shit. And, you know, my whole thing is, you know, if the first thing I met you, Judge, and the first thing out your mouth was how you did some sort of stint at this prison or that prison, I'm already eyeing you up as a sap loser. You know what I mean? I mean, because there are criminals out there, true enough. But the good criminals never go to jail. They just don't. And if you're going to try to be something, I always said you should try to be the best at whatever you're going to be. You're going to be a football player, try to be the best football player. Doctor, try to be the best doctor. Well, unfortunately, if you're going to be a stupid knucklehead criminal, you should at least aspire to be the best criminal you could be. And that would be one that keeps their nose clean and stays out of trouble. And do your shady shit on the side. But Judge, that being said, I'm going to close out the show. You have anything to tell the people on the way out?
It's like this. Be brave, be courageous. Face this adversity with equanimity. Equanimity means calmness. Being calm and cool in the face of a threat, all right?
Right. Right.
There is no cure for it. If they develop a preventive, take a shot. Don't be afraid. Forget that you're a kid. Don't be screaming in your own mind when they break out the needle. It ain't gonna hurt you. Yeah, there's a chance you may have an adverse reaction, but you owe it to the rest of the people in your village or your tribe to become as immune as you can. But that's a small risk. The other thing is quit letting them turn it into a nice little horror movie for you where you stay tuned to keep somebody's ratings up behind it. Be strong, do what you got to do. Be cautious. The best warriors in the world wear body armor when they do it. So wear your armor, wear the mask, put it on, wash your hands. You should be doing that anyway. Use mouthwash. It'll keep your breath from sinking anyhow. Don't rub your eyes. Don't rub your nose. And be cool.
Be cool.
Keep your distance. Ain't going to hurt you to step back anyway. Stay home. When you're home, read a book. If you don't have a book, quit going online and looking at YouTube. Go get yourself a book, an electronic book, and read it. Read something.
Yes. If nothing else, if you do come to YouTube, come to my channel. I have audio books. I got the 48 Laws of Power. That is a very, very powerful book. And
isn't it?
It's a great book. And then I also have
white boy wrote that, by the way.
Well, he was a very smart boy. I tell you what, if you listen to that, you take what you can. You can't do it all the time. You got to. The thing about the 48 Laws of Power, you got to know when to apply it and when not to. That's first off.
Wait. Something funny about that. He talks about D'Artagnan, the guy with the wound up commanding the musketeers for the king. Same one in the Three Musketeers, right?
Right.
And somebody was talking about, I said, man, who is D'Artagnan? He was trying to quote the 48 Rules of Power. Man, this dude, man, he was one of the first man in the rap. I said, bro, it's got nothing to do with D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan. That was the head of the Three Musketeers. No, what, he worked at a candy store? No, oh.
First the rap. That goes back to the time to where, now correct me if I'm wrong, to where you had the king and you never want to shine above the king for obvious reasons. You become a threat to the crown. If you pull too much sway in the court and start becoming beloved by dukes and lords and counts and people on the lower tier, then you become a direct threat to the king. So you never want to do that, but you don't ever want to alienate yourself from those groups either. You got to understand, medieval politics was a one-on-one venture. I mean, certain people grouped up. You had certain guilds in that, but for the most part, it was about self-preservation and ensuring that your ancestral lands and your personal peasants are taken care of.
Well, but it's like there are certain kinds of kings where you don't have to worry about that because the king brags about how badass his warriors are.
Exactly. And that's a confident
That's king. The right kind of king. But then look at King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and his best warrior, Lancelot, fucking his old lady. Hey, cold-blooded. Be careful. You might be doing the right thing for your people, but your woman sure as hell would undercut you if you ain't careful.
That was such a horror. I'm
gonna fix him. Think just because he pulled the sword out the stone, he all this and that. Yeah, I tear him down the side. I know what'll fix his ass. Think he gonna lord it over me just because everybody say, my lord. Oh, hell no.
He tore that pussy up too.
His booty gonna stray on his ass. See how he like that? Like he owned me.
Haters will hate. And that's what you're talking about. Okay, I mean,
even if it's your own woman, she sure can be a hater, boy.
Yes.
Especially some of them sisters. They hate that you're doing something, and because you're outdoing them, so they will try to tear you down the side so they can manage you instead of trying to help you go do what you got to do. It's a shame, but that's life.
Yes.
You got to do better. Anyway, I got to get out of here.
Well, me too.
Well, hell, I ain't got nowhere to go. Just go there and read another damn book.
Well, thank you, Judge. It's almost
like I'm 19 years old studying for finals up in here.
Reading books everywhere.
Damn. All y'all think about it gonna get better when you get out of school. Get that up, it's gonna get worse. You gotta learn how to handle it better.
Yes, but make sure you go into a degree like engineering, science, mathematics, basket weaving, a study of this culture, that it's not going to cut it, y'all. Go into engineering, science, and math.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. I was trying to do that, didn't quite work out that way. I got to see somebody's mouthpiece, got all them criminals all walking around on the street. That was my job. Oh.
And a good job you did.
Man.
Well,
all these murderers that I represented at one time. That's crazy thing. I was helping the city keep its population in control, where all the folk I was representing was off in the killing. Yeah.
Whew. But a lot of them
anyway, man, I'm out of here. It's
all right, Judge.
Good. Have a great day. Be safe. Keep breathing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm gone.
Thanks. Wow. Well, for those who are listeners of the show, you have followed me in this, 5-hour epic I've been on. I haven't done nothing for a week or better. And I came right out the bat today. A show with Captain Ed DeWhite, followed by Dr. Randy Short, followed by Brother Judge Joe Brown, and probably in another couple hours, we'll have Dr. Short back on again. Oh, give me strength. Pray for your host, y'all. Pray for me. But as always, thank you for listening. This will conclude TPIm SR Live for today. Today's date is April 23rd, 2020, the year of our Lord. Live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace in our power, unity in our victory, dignity in our respect. Liberation. I'm out.